All right, welcome to our channel. Today we're going to be discussing a very serious warning that has been issued by the President of the United States, as well as Scott Turner, the Director of HUD. There has been a directive that all public housing authorities should comply with a 30-day order to kick out and remove any illegal aliens that reside in any household that is utilizing a Section 8 voucher. And the fallout from that will likely be rather large. So let's discuss a little bit of what's going to take place in about 30 days or less. So the presumption here is the administration, as well as HUD, is now seeking the information of every single household that's participating in the programs, and any unverified person that did not provide a Social Security number, you will likely expect a few things to happen. One, that entire household will likely lose its voucher and be kicked out, possibly banned. Two, there's a high potential your house will be raided, and those that do not belong in the country legally will be arrested. There could be civil and also criminal penalties for those that harbored that individual, and it's going to be a pretty tough circumstance, okay? There are far-reaching consequences as well for the PHA. Though we don't know the methodology just yet, but I can safely say that they've made it very clear. If the housing authority is not going to remove these illegal aliens, and they have 30 days to do so, and discontinue vouchers for those harboring those, and that are utilizing a voucher or in a vouchered household, then the housing authority itself will be in non-compliance and will be shut down. You will no longer receive any funds. So if you, the housing authority, or any household that were to harbor any individual that cannot be identified as being legally in this country, will probably be subject to arrest. And regardless of whether you're legal or illegal, the presumption would be that if you harbor them and they're on your voucher, you're done. I don't know if that will be if that could lead to a secondary consequence of being banned from the system altogether. So let's talk a little bit about, and I pulled information for both party lines. I know we have Republicans and Democrats that watch us. I favor both sides when the politics are good for what we discuss. But here is a little bit more detailed information. So beyond the 30-day notice, housing authorities will lose funding and be shut down if they do not comply with that order. Number two, you're subject to arrests, especially the illegal immigrant if you have one in your home. And three, the fallout consequence there. So the Trump administration has ordered a nationwide review of public housing, meaning anybody that utilizes any federal funds to house herself, whether in Section 811, 202, Housing Choice Voucher, Continuum of Care, Rapid Rehousing, Permanent Supportive Housing, anything that's federally funded. If you or your household have an immigrant there that's not legally in this country, you're done for. You got 30 days. So I'm going to recommend at this point that you get with your housing authority. If you or somebody in your household is not legally in this country, it would be in your best interest to come clean and eject that person from your household, because you could end up losing your voucher. There could be arrest. And not only that, but the far-reaching thing is, I don't know if the administration is going to go after the housing. They say they're going to go after the housing authority and defund them. Well, look, that don't just affect people with immigrants in their home that are legal. It affects all people that have a voucher, period, that are in that county. Okay, so for the sake of everybody that's using a voucher, if you're harboring a person that's not supposed to be in this country legally, and they're there with your voucher or on your voucher, you need to rectify that situation very quickly. This administration made it very clear they will send ICE and other federal agencies to your home, and they will have them arrested, okay? This information comes from both Democratic news agencies as well as Republicans. So I've looked at both information from Fox News, I've looked at the WhiteHouse.gov, I've looked at Congress.gov, and so it goes on to say the Trump administration has ordered a nationwide review of public housing in an effort to root out residents who are in the country illegally. So there will be raids all over the nation. And according to Housing and Urban Development, which is HUD, Scott Turner, Okay, so that's their mission plan now. There's going to be a big roundup. Uh, so they're doing a 30-day conduit to audit and ensure that all existing orders are being enforced. If you are a public housing authority and you think for a minute that you're running something you're not, they will shut you down. That will be the end of your housing authority, and everybody there will be subject to that order. You understand that? They're not playing with you. If you allow or enable any of your voucher holders to utilize a voucher under federal funding, your housing authority will be put out of business. They will storm your building. They will take everything in there. They will likely indict the employees. And following that, of a raid probably on the households that are doing this. Now, this is a far-reaching effect. It's been ordered by the United States President as well as the Director of HUD, and you have 30 days to comply, less than that. Look, I don't really have an opinion about immigrants here legally or not. I'm just saying, for the sake of everybody, you cannot use. It's never been legal to use federal funds in this manner. Okay, ever. And I'm an advocate, obviously, of people in housing. And as I've said before, I'm a little bit of both parties. I don't support either totally. So going on from there, Mr. Turner and the president said that no longer will illegal aliens be able to leave citizenship boxes blank, take advantage of HUD-funded housing, and ride in the coattails of hardworking American citizens. Currently, HUD only serves 1 out of 4 eligible families due to this. Now, I don't know if this is necessarily true. That insinuation that roughly 1/4 of all households are, harboring an illegal immigrant, and that's causing a bigger problem. I don't know if that's true, okay? You have to be careful with politics. Both parties will lie about things. That's just the way it goes. I'm sure there's going to be a manageable high number, okay? But it's certainly not going to be a circumstance where we divide up the pie and go, okay, what's 1/4 of all households? So I don't know. I believe that bullshit, okay? But I will say one thing. The shit has hit the fan. And if you're going to test Mr. Trump's resolve, you may find that a flashbang early in the morning and then everybody in the house gets arrested, okay? Though they'll probably cut the rest that are legal loose. And let me just make something clear. I'm not just talking about people from Mexico. We're talking about everybody. I don't care if you're an Irishman, okay? If you are from Africa, the continent, if you're from Russia, if you're from India, if you're in this fucking country and you're not legal to be here, and let me tell you, roughly half of the households out here that have somebody that's an illegal alien, they're not from Mexico. They're from other places, okay? It's not just Mexico and the border wall. We have people in our country that are from all over the place. In fact, it was one of the founding principles of our country. Well, we opened the floodgates, filled the country, didn't we? We're no longer accepting applications right now. If you want to if you'd like to join and become an American, you'll need to wait a couple more years and see, okay? Right now, we've closed it. There'll be no Irish. There'll be no Japanese, Chinese, no people from Africa, South America. We are not accepting applications. You pop your ass over that wall, let me tell you what, you're going to get the paddy wagon. And then you get a free flight to somewhere unimaginable. And you better hope it's not a Seacot down there, you know where. Sometimes they fly the plane straight to the max prison. I'm just warning you guys. Look, I've seen a lot of presidents. This guy's very serious about storming the building. And if he gave a 30-day order, he ain't fucking around. Okay? There's not going to be any double talk. And housing authorities, all that attitude you guys got as workers and this and that, you want to talk shit to everybody, you go play games with this president. I'm telling you, you and your housing authority will be on this. You'll be on a real estate market for sale by the end of the month. You better review your files and you better get those people from out of there. If you're complicit in the activity to violate federal law, then you will be subject to arrest and you will be spending time in a federal prison. You better get your shit together. And if you think that you're somehow complicit, you're working in the housing authority and you allow that to happen, you better quit your job. Start praying. Okay? I don't support or not support this. I'm just warning you guys. If you don't want to be arrested, you don't want to end up in a federal court, and you don't want 3 hots in a cot in a federal prison, I call Section 9, then you better do as advised. I would expect that this will likely throw about 30,000 some odd vouchers back on the market. And, well, to be frank with you, a lot of people are probably going to get arrested. They're not going to give advance notice. There will not be 3 notices. You're not going to come to the door in your slippers with an attitude and go, well, I didn't get a notice. They're going to come in there with masks in their face. They're going to take whoever they need to take. And within probably a couple of hours, you're going to be on a flight to another country. Unless you know a judge that's going to stop that order. And for the housing authority, look, if you want to go out of business, play some games, catch some attitude. If you don't think the FBI, ATF, and every other federal agency will not arrest you and everybody in that building, they will. The worst thing you can do is run your mouth like you do to the people that you give vouchers. They will be happy to slap handcuffs on your ass, and then you're gone. Okay? You don't get to make any decisions behind this. You don't get to have a say about it. You can either comply or go to prison. That's it. It's serious. Let me tell you something. These are watered down versions of the actual intent of the administration right now. In other words, what you see on news is a curated version of pleasantries. Let me ask you a question. Those people in D.C., when they decided they were going to remove all the homeless out of D.C., do you think they were trading pleasantries? A lot of people got arrested. Over 200 so far. And here's the high critical point of this. The first housing authority on the hit list is Washington, D.C. If you live in Washington, D.C., and you have an illegal alien in your family, you're within weeks of probably a flashbang, a few pairs of handcuffs, and a flight to nowhere. I'm telling you, you're on his hit list. Washington, D.C.'s first. And then let me go ahead and put the rest of you on notice. L.A., I can guarantee it. New York, I can guarantee it. Florida, you might get a pass. You're a Republican state. You might get a pass. But only temporarily. Only temporarily. Because as soon as it goes after every Democratic state, he's going to start going after Republican states. It's business. That's how business goes. Ain't nobody worried about party lines when it comes to illegal immigration. Now, I understand a lot of you that are here legally, including white folks, black folks, and everybody else that was born and raised here in this country. That doesn't necessarily mean this flood of new vouchers is going to improve odds or move you to the top of the waiting list. Yeah, it's going to bring in new funds, but right now, the market has stagnated. We're in peak season. Housing authorities at present, summer is the highest demand time, so even if we have a flood of vouchers, we will not notice the effect likely till the 2026 year, okay? So don't start popping champagne about all the new vouchers that are walking in your neighborhood, and we don't know how many housing authorities are going to go out of business over this one. And so I feel the paw of my cat right now. She's saying that she'd appreciate if I tone it down in this video. Well, I'll have to disappoint her today because the reality is it's pretty cold. If you're not going to fill out paperwork and properly go through the process to be in the United States, then you will be exited out of here, okay? If you you as the housing authority harbor an immigrant and you're complicit in violating federal rules, you will be in a federal courtroom, okay? And beyond that, those that have a household, and I know you might feel you've done a Christian thing, but look, if you've got somebody that is not legally here, is not legal to be in this country right now, you're jeopardizing you and your family. They will take your voucher and people will get arrested, and there could be civil and criminal penalties. Everybody down the whole chain is going to get it. And they will not be advance notice. They're not going to send, it's not like an eviction where you get due process, okay? You get a flashbang, the window breaks, people come in, they got a mask on, and then people vanish on a plane. You understand? That's how it goes. They're not interested in talk, due process. You're not going to get a warm-up letter. They're not going to give you 3 notices. This isn't like being late on your credit card. They're going to come grab your ass, okay? They're going to grab all of you. And then the result's going to be they now have fuel to get rid of the legal citizens that were in the household, because why? You're complicit in violating federal law. The days of arriving in this country on a boat or swimming through a river or walking across a border without filling out proper paperwork to be a U.S. citizen, receiving food stamps, receiving any type of federal funds are over with. And not only that, they will give you housing, but it's going to be at the local ICE detention center. And as you've seen, both through this administration after, I believe, Alligator Alcatraz, it's rather hellish. They've designed this to leave one permanent mark in your mind. You ever cross that border again, you're going to be next to torture before they put you on a plane to get out of here. Okay? These are tough times. But I cannot disagree with one factor. If it's illegal, it's illegal. And whether you know it or not, doesn't matter. So respectfully, in order to protect everybody that has a voucher, which are legally here, and not have that housing authority become defunded, all illegal immigrants that are residing in a Section 8 home using a voucher need to exit. My advice to you is accept the money offered by the administration, like $500 or $1,000, and just go back home, okay? This is not the place to be. Okay? There's no American dream to be had. Okay? There's the only thing you're going to get is a plane ride. You can do it with money in your pocket, or you can do it with handcuffs. Okay? And as each year passes during this administration, it's going to get more serious. Okay? There is no benefit to coming to this country anymore illegally. You will not receive food stamps. You will not receive housing. You will not receive anything but a plane ride. Now, you could be put in, you want to go down and stay in Alligator Alcatraz for a couple of months. You got people half dead before they leave there. Stay where you are. Don't come here. I'm just letting you know. And if you are here, go home. Because what you're fixing to go through, if you try to stay here, isn't worth it. They're already discussing, the administration's already discussing taking over places like Chicago and New York. Literally sending federal agents to consume the streets with the National Guard, possibly even the military. You won't even be able to go get eggs. Okay? The days of hanging out at Home Depot over. I'm not a racist person, and I'm certainly not a bigot. I understand why people would want to come to this country. I get it. Now is not a great time. You guys need to sit down, and if you're watching this video and you're from another country, you consider coming here, you need to sit down and think about doing this properly. You spend all that money on coyotes and different things to get out here. Try just filling out the paperwork, man. Okay? And to be honest with you, it's probably just not a good idea, period, during this administration. We're really just not accepting applications from anybody. Okay? Let me tell you something. If you think I'm joking with you, they've arrested police officers and deported them. They have deported firefighters. There's no limit to it. Even if you were a federal agent, if for some reason you get revoked, you're out of here. Being a police officer or law enforcement will not protect you. Being a judge will not protect you. You're gone. If the President of the United States orders you out this country, you're gone. The difference between him and almost every other president we've ever had in that office is he usually makes good when he tells you he wants you gone. You can do it the easy way or not, okay? So while this is not probably how I would have done it, I'm more of a pushover. This is what's happening. And heed my warning for you, many of you that are housing authorities. You're going to run yourself into some serious issues. And when the president cuts off federal funding, there's no getting it back. You will be insolvent. Not only that, you're going to create a circumstance where everybody from that county can lose their voucher. Housing authorities operate on federal dollars. They don't have any other money. If they get closed and they don't meet this audit, then they're gone. Housing authority can only run for so long. You see? I'm hoping there's going to be some adjustments here so everybody doesn't lose their voucher. It seems like that would be a little bit over the top to arbitrarily get rid of everybody. But I can tell you that if he says he's going to remove funding for those that support, so in other words, if the housing authority is going to remain complicit in allowing illegal immigrants on an application, he's going to remove the funding from the housing authority, period, regardless of who's got a voucher and whether or not they played any part of it. That's how it sounds right now. That's exactly how it's being put. Now, we don't know the true reality of it until it starts. We have just under 30 days left. You need to review every case file you've got. And people, let me tell you something, you need to go. You need to go. Enough's enough for all of this. We have enough Americans that don't have housing. We have enough people on the street. We cannot house everybody that decides to jump in this country without filling out paperwork. We can no longer do that. We're at $37 trillion in debt. We cannot be the world peacekeeper. We cannot continue to house the whole globe. We just can't as a nation. And we cannot use American funds to do so. I live in Houston. I'm a consultant here. Hell, my ex-girlfriend's Hispanic. Okay? But let me just say this. She's here legally, right? So we need to do what's best for the country, and right now that's the best thing for all circumstances. We've got, we talk about waste inside the system. It is really waste. So this is all going to be playing a big part. If you think that I'm joking, ignoring the advice of this video, and in 30 days when they run that audit, the first domino to fall will be D.C. And then shortly after that, I can tell you it'll probably be Chicago. If you've got an illegal immigrant in your home and you have a Section 8 voucher, you need to invite them out your home. You're risking everybody. You're risking your seniors, your elderly, even your children. You're also risking a lifetime ban and possibly criminal charges, if not civil. Because when you defraud or you commit fraud, you have to pay that money back. You've been sitting on that voucher 20 years, you decide to let a friend from another country legally stay in there, they're going to want every cent back. And if you can't pay it, then they'll simply auction off everything you've got. The U.S. Marshals will come to your home, they will seize all of your property, including your home, and then sell it at auction. Things can get very serious. Now, I'm not suggesting they're going to exercise the right to do that, but I do understand what they can do because I've seen it. 30 days, guys. When Halloween gets here, when October 31st gets here, that's due date. And then the serious actions will start happening. You guys are going to need to exit out of households. If you're an illegal immigrant, you need to get out of that household and you need to go home, okay? For your sanity and for the American people, you just need to go home, okay? It doesn't mean that I agree or disagree. I'm just saying it's in the best interest of all parties involved. You do not want to be arrested for this, okay? You will kill any future chance of being able to be in this country if you were to apply and you have an arrest for being here illegally. These are tough times, but, in tough times we have to make tough decisions. Thank God it's not my decision to make. It's the president's. And this is the decision they're making. And so this is what we should expect. And so housing authorities, every one of you need to review all of your files. If you think this is a lot of hoorah, we'll see who's playing around when October 31st gets here and your building gets raided. Now, while the federal government's not going to raid, 4,300 housing authorities, they're going to hit the biggest ones first. So you better clamp down Chicago, New York, and don't think you're exempt because you're in Florida. Hell, Florida is about as tough on immigration as any state. You probably want to exit. If you don't have your paperwork, you got to go. And let me make this clear. We're not just talking about Hispanic people from Mexico. We're talking about South America. We're talking about Africa. We're talking about Russia, China, wherever the hell you come from, India. If you're not here, you better go. if you're harboring these people and you got a business, you're risking a lot at this point. You're risking a whole lot. I'm giving my warnings, and I'm going to have naysayers. Oh, this couldn't possibly be real. You got to be delusional, Jay. Well, when the 31st rolls around, there's a whole, and we got big school bus paddy wagons rolling around town, and then it's like Christmas in the neighborhood. You start seeing flashbangs and smoke bombs and AT up in the front lawn. Let me tell you something. I'm going to post a picture today. My old home, my neighbor sent a photo of the ATF going next door, 8 feet from my front door of my old home. Raided that house. They're not from Mexico, but they're catching the plane right now. You know, Texas is very serious about it. So, I'm going to close this up. I've said what I've had to say about this, but PHAs and illegal immigrants, you got 30 days to comply. If you think it's a joke, then you'll be if you think it's a joke, you're probably going to get arrested, okay? Your housing authority will lose all of its funding, and that will be the end. That will be the end of your company. If you are a city-sponsored PHA, they don't care. You can be the mayor or even the governor. They don't give a damn. They will arrest you. Okay? So if you're a city running a housing authority and you're non-compliance, that's it. You lose the funding. Well, guys, I'm going to close it up there because I don't think we're going to get any further in terms of how awful all this really is, but that's how things go when we have to make tough decisions. So, my name's Jay. I'm the owner of Section8Consulting.com, and today we're talking a little bit about the truth. Respectfully, I hope a lot of you don't get arrested. I hope that everybody decides to come to their senses and decide to exit on your own terms. All right. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your week. Enjoy your year. And I wish you all well.